Hello and welcome to lesson 2. In this lesson we're going to learn all about the marquees. Okay, I forget that menu open. We've got a rectangular marquee, an elliptical marquee and single rows and columns marquees. Now we're going to focus really on the elliptical and the rectangular marquee tools, and we're going to have a little look at the layers as well. So to start this I started by getting 2 images off Google Images. This was a really random find. I'm not even sure what I searched for, but it was quite useful for what I need. And this globe here, I just searched for globe and found that image. Now what I'm going to show you guys how to do is take this globe and put it onto that TV screen there whilst getting rid of most of the stuff in this image. So let's start by making the image on the right here. Let's make this full screen and let's zoom in a little bit so we can actually, oh, it might be a little bit too far, actually see what we're working with. There we go. So I'm at 165%, which is why it's so blurred. I'm going to start by grabbing the rectangular marquee tool. And what I want to do, I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag. What that's going to do is it's going to make a selection. Now these dotted lines all the way around the outside, which are also known as racing ants, and some people call them, this is showing us exactly what we've got selected. Now there are loads of things we can do when we've got a selection. We can apply filters to that particular selection. We can adjust the colours in it. There's lots and lots we can do, but right now I'm going to keep it really nice and simple. If you right click in the middle of your selection, you'll get a drop down menu appear. We can do things like select the inverse, which if we do that it'll select everything that isn't currently selected. We can feather our selection, which we're going to come to. Refine the edge, where you can bring the edges in, take them out. Like I say, loads and loads of different things. But right now all I want to do is a layer via copy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that selection we've made and it's going to copy it to a new layer. We can do a layer via cut, where it will actually cut it out of that layer, but like I say, we're just going to keep it simple. Right click, layer via copy. So not a lot's really happened there that we can see, has it? But if we look over on the right hand side in our layers menu, you can see we've got a background layer which is white. We've then got layer 1, which was the original image, and layer 2. If I turn layer 1 off, we lose all the menus, and that's because the menus weren't in my original selection. Turn layer 1 back on, all those menus come back on, all this information around the left and the top. I'm not particularly interested in any of that right now, so I'm going to turn it off. So then I've just got layer 2 and I've got the white background. If that background happened to be red, then all this white area on the screen would be red. Again, we'll come to that a little bit later on. So that image is primed, it's ready to go. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to click the 2 grey boxes up in the right hand corner so I can get to my globe. So right now, I'm going to make my globe full screen. Because the globe is round, I'm going to need the elliptical marquee tool. And this one's a bit more challenging, so good fun to have a play with. Again, you click and you drag. And it's quite awkward to actually line up round shapes, especially when they're not completely round. See, I got it first time. When I started doing that, it'd take me maybe 20-30 attempts, so don't be disheartened if it takes quite a while to make that selection. Again, when you've made the selection, let's try it again. I click and I drag, and now I've got something similar to the shape, but it's not in the right place, so I let go so it makes a selection, and then I just click in the middle of that selection and I move it down. I find out that it's not big enough. I should have stuck with my original one. So let's try again. Make something a little bit bigger, move it over. That's not too bad, that'll do. I'm happy with that. So again, I right click and I go layer via copy. So I've got the background layer which is white, I've then got my original layer with the globe on, and then I've got my new layer. If I turn off layer 1, then I've just got the globe and I've got the white background. I'm going to click those 2 grey boxes again. Like I said, I want to put this globe here onto this TV screen over here. So let's select we want to be able to see both canvases at the same time for this operation to take place. Next thing I want to do is I want to grab the move tool. Now if you look in your tools palette on the left hand side, if you hover over anything for just a second or two, a tooltip comes up, which is that little box underneath. And that tells me that that tool up at the top is a move tool. Now with this canvas selected, I can see what layers I'm looking at. I've got the background, the layer 1 with the canvas on the rug or whatever it is, and the layer 2 which is the copy that I made. With the move tool selected and the right layer selected, I can move that globe wherever I want in that canvas. The nice thing is I can also move it to this canvas on the right hand side. A very simple operation. I grab the globe and I drag it over. There it is. The globe is now in this second canvas. So let's make this canvas full screen. And like I said, I want to put the globe on the television screen, but when I move it in that direction, it's stuck behind this layer. Reason for that is the layer order on the right hand side in the layers menu. If I click and drag layer 3, just put it above layer 2, it now comes on top of it. Yeah, so quite a simple layer stacking order. Move it underneath layer 2, layer 2's on top, put it on top, layer 3's on top, put it underneath. And I can do that all day long and be happily entertained, but I'm sure you're going to get quite bored. So I want to put that globe on the TV, but the globe is far too big to fit on the TV. So I've got the move tool selected. I'm just going to look at this menu just above it where I can auto select what layers I'm working on. Also use something called the show transform controls. If I tick that, what's going to happen? I'll get this bounding box come all the way up around the globe. Now this might look a bit like PowerPoint if you've used that, or any general graphic design layout program such as that. I can click and drag those handles and it'll resize this image. I can make it quite thin and tall, I can make it quite wide and short, do whatever I want with it. If I want it to look realistic, I need to restart. So I'm going to begin by hitting the escape key and it'll put it back to the original image. It actually says don't apply the changes. If I hold the shift key and drag these handles in, I can't make it any other size. So I can't make it fat, I can't make it thin. All I can do is keep it in proportion to itself. That is the shift key on your keyboard. So I'm going to drag that to about the size I reckon it needs to be, and then just going to click in here and I'm going to drag it over to the TV screen. I'm going to measure it up. It's still potentially a little bit big, so hold down the shift key and again make it a little bit smaller. Now to line it up in the TV screen you might need to get a little bit closer, and it's going to pixelate, but that's okay, I'm not worried about that right now, we'll get to that later. So that's in the middle of the TV screen. I've resized it. All I need to do is hit the return key on the keyboard and it applies the changes for me. Now when I zoom back out to 100%, I've taken the globe and I've put it onto the TV. I've still got this dotted box around it, so if I don't want to see that I can click the show transform controls, or I could click onto a layer that's not visible. So there we go, how to cut out different parts of a layer, how to move them in between canvases.